Hello, everyone. This is the second part of The Queen is Dead, Long Live the King. And it's, of course, the occasion was Elizabeth II's death. In the previous series, in the previous video, I tried to show you her transits. And in this video, I'm going to concentrate on the two other very important forecasting tools that I'm using. Now, we have to, before we enter this portion, I probably should talk a few words about the various forecasting tools, out of which, of course, transits are always the most important ones, because outer planet transits are the ones that are really changing our lives. And they always come from the outside. So we don't know how to be prepared for them. And we don't know what to do. Sometimes we don't know what to do about them. There's a very important axiom that I always teach to my students, which is like this: shit happens no matter what, but you need to do something to be able to experience the good stuff. It's very unfair, I know, but it happens most of the time that if you see a really difficult transit or a difficult placement, yes, it will manifest in your life. But if you have all kinds of flowing aspects and all kinds of harmony, then you may not do nothing at all. They make you very lazy and very inactive most of the time, or they help you survive the bad stuff. That's their other function. But it's really, unfortunately, the difficult aspects that are triggering events in our lives. And among them, transits are really important because they come from the outside, and we absolutely sometimes don't know what to do about them and how to react. Besides that, you do have the solar return chart, which I personally don't like. I absolutely agree with Bernadette Brady, who says it's first of all, it's the lazy astrologer's tool, and also it really doesn't show you what is going to happen. Of course, outer planet transits and outer planet placements will be there. So what is in there, you can actually glean from the transits as well. But you don't know what actually what is happening and when. When is even more important. And what she says is that if you are born with very little free will, or if it's a situation where you don't really exercise your free will, you can't because you don't have it, then solar returns might be useful, but otherwise it's the least useful forecasting tool to my mind. Secondary progressions are important, but they are not event oriented. They are process oriented, because here the time key is 1 day equals 1 year in your life. And of course, the outer planets are moving so slowly that they won't move anywhere. So it's really the personal planets and the angles, not even the nodal axis. The nodal axis doesn't go anywhere sometimes for 50, 60 years, maybe 1-2 degrees. Sometimes it does. It depends on where it is actually. But most of the time, it's really just the ascendant and MC or the personal planets. The moon may travel, it travels the fastest 12 degrees per day, 12, 13 degrees per day. And the moon is like a pointer. It points to important stuff. And so that's something that I always look at, because it's not going to tell you what is actually happening in your life. It's going to tell you how you feel and what you are ready for, what you're ready to experience. There's also a minor forecasting tool. It's called activations. It's very easy. It's really for beginners, because as old you are, anything on that particular degree will be activated. So for instance, if you have things around 2 degrees, it will be activated on your second birthday or in the second year, your 32nd year, your 62nd, and your 92nd, and so on. If you are 15, if you have things around 15 degrees, it will be activated when you are 15. when you are 45, and when you are 75, and so on. So it's very easy to look at your chart and see any tight configuration or tight aspect, it will be activating. And again, what I can tell you about that is that if it's a challenging aspect, yes, or challenging planetary picture, yes, it will be activated, and yes, it will bring some event. If it's a flowing aspect, if it's a grand trine or something nice, harmony triangle or something, or just a trine, it's not going to activate. It's going to remain latent, unfortunately. You can, of course, try to do something about it. That's what I always say, because the trick is to act upon your placements and to live your chart. So activations are a minor tool. And then, of course, there are solar arcs, which are similar to primary directions or symbolic directions. 1 degree equals 1 year. I never use symbolic directions or primary directions simply because I think they just don't work when you are born either in June or in December, because in December the sun looks as if it were moving much faster, because that's how it looks like, because we are closer to the sun in the sun-Earth ellipsis. And conversely, in the summer, it's much slower. So solar arc technique gives you an exact timing, and that's why I like solar arcs. So what we are going to do today is we are going to look at Elisabeth II's solar arcs and also progressions on her upon her death. So let's take a look at the things that were going on. So this is her later chart. Again, I'm not going to delineate this in any sense. I kind of pointed out some features in my previous video from a karmic viewpoint, and the things that I found fascinating, but we are not going to spend any time with it now. I just put it here so for you to have an easy reference. You can go back, you can keep this, you can make a print screen and you can use it. Here's the progress chart. And another technique would be to see progress to natal, which we are going to do in a minute, but this is just the progress chart. Very rarely can you see such a phenomenon when the ascendant moves 6 sides, so it actually becomes the opposite side. It moves 6 signs away from it. And it happens only when your ascendant is at the end of Capricorn, in Aquarius or in Pisces, and you live almost 100 years, then it may occur. If you have a Leo rising or a Virgo rising, it will never occur to you, no matter how long you're going to live. So this was her progress chart, and she moved from the end of Capricorn to the beginning of Cancer. And as you can see, Venus was rising at the date of death, and Astrea, the karma breaker, was setting. So there's a Venus-Astrea opposition, suggesting that she was really ready to leave. She fulfilled what she planned to do, and she was ready to leave. The moon was at 20 degrees Aquarius, and this is really fascinating because in the transit chart, in the death transit chart, you have a very similar placement for the moon. It's at maybe 20.5 or 21 degrees, but it's almost exact, and this is really rare. And the moon is exactly squaring Saturn, the one planet of death. So again, death is clear there. On the IC, you have Pallas Athena. This is an applying conjunction, but it means that I'm achieving wisdom by letting go. And if you take a look at Eris, drastically altered outward circumstances, her ascendant-descendant angle squared it in the last 2 years. Now it's already separating. It's not actually not even there anymore. But you can tell that the last 2-3 years were brutal, really, as far as her own self and her partner, and also open enemies. And I'm not going to badmouth anyone in the royal family, but there are some among them who behave like an open enemy. Anyhow, that is one thing that has already separated. But Chiron is exactly squaring her sun. It's actually, again, a separating square. So again, the last one, 45, 3-4 months were there, maybe even more, maybe the one last year. And at the same time, the Chiron is trining Astrea, which means that she can actually break all embedded karmic wounds by letting go, by going away. And then the sun is also making a quincunx. So it's actually, if you look at it, this is an engine. It's a fixed earth engine. So that's the engine that took her over to the other side, so to speak. So these are the highlights of the progress chart. And here's the procrastinator. What we usually do is we always look at the personal planets to whatever you want to look at. I usually look at the sign rulers. And of course, there are all sorts of aspects here, but we generally look at the hard aspects, sextile, trine, conjunctions as well, and the quincunxes. The rest is not really important in a normal forecasting. But since this is a death occasion, I included the novice semi-decile, the 162 degrees. You have the description in the previous video, you can check it. And here's the full placement that I'm going to look at. I always look at the personal planets to everything, and then the angles, the ascendant and midheaven to everything. And again, please disregard the quintile series and also the novile series, although I found it fascinating that there are 2 noviles to the moon. No, the noviles 40 degree is 1/9 of a circle, and it denotes sacrifice. So the moon was exactly conjunct Mars, and Mercury was opposite Mars, and Mercury was also on Neptune. This is a separating conjunction. The moon was exactly quincunxing the North Node. That's really fascinating. The quincunx in forecasting always shows what is inevitable, what cannot be avoided, what will actually occur. And you have the IC Chiron exact trine, which I kind of show you. It's Chiron doesn't go anywhere. It's a very slow moving thing, but the IC reached Chiron. So the letting go of karmic wounds is very, very prominent there. And also these 162 degrees, there are actually 4 of them. Sun, Mars, the will to leave. So what's the essence? What's the essence that she's bringing over to the next lifetime? What's the substance that she learned and is going to carry over? Sun, Mars, how to fight. And also Moon, North Node. Put your soul into your destiny choices. And also Mercury ascendant, be wise, be learned, do things. Venus, okay, that's a quincunx, sorry. And then Venus ascendant, be happy. Be happy. Venus South Node, learn how to be happy from your past experiences. And then what is really fascinating is the ascendant and descendant 162 degrees. So that shows how she fed. That shows how what she carried over through her death. And here are the solar arcs. In solar arcs, normally when you do forecasting, you only have 4 types of aspects. One is what I call active. Sorry, I didn't change it from Hungarian. I apologize. Anyhow, active aspects which are really doing the thing. And it means that this is what I want. It's all the so-called hard aspects that are going to be active in your chart when you look at solar arcs: conjunctions, squares, oppositions, semi-squares, and sesquiquadrates. Those are the ones that are moving you. Those are the ones that you're going to initiate, because this is what you want. So this is what you're going to do. And there are always a lot of them. What is interesting is the Jupiter IC, of course, like letting go, and also Neptune Saturn. And you may remember that in the transit chart, you had an exact Neptune Saturn trine. It's already in the retrograde motion, but death and events usually happen when the planets are moving retrograde in a transit. And here Neptune reaches Saturn. So it's the dissolution of solid structures. Neptune is also on the MC. And Neptune means transcendence. And then the descendant is actually squaring trans-Pluto, which is dimension jump, and the MC is sesquiquadrating Pluto, which is one of the death planets. The second column is the karma aspect, of course, 150 degrees, so the quincunx. And as I said, in quincunxes in forecasting indicate unavoidable, inevitable events. This particular glyph is Sedna. Don't mix it up with Saturn. So there's a moon Sedna quincunx, which means you need to dissolve, you need to rearrange things that are non-working in your life. There's also trans-Pluto Uranus quincunx, which is transcending and going to be free. Ascendant Saturn, death, and IC Uranus, getting rid of stuff, going away, moving away. You know, the IC is also the life, end of life stage. And she had quite a few ambition aspects. This is the Queen de Chile, 165 degrees, really a lot. And that is quite revealing, because it means that she was ready, really ready to move. So her ambition was to, for instance, to get rid of stuff, Uranus, Astrea, to really break away from karmic issues. And also the Pluto Sun and Pluto Aries, Queen de Chile, are making a Queen de Chile arrow. And also there was one more. Yes, where was it? Yes, the Moon Sun Queen de Chile is very interesting. So the soul and the mind are together, and then the Pluto Sun. This is the other Queen de Chile arrow that is forming. As you know, that means that those two other planets are in semi-sextile, 30 degrees in the natal chart. And again, there are harmony aspects, of course, sextile and trine. The sextile presents potentials, and the trine it means that you can let it go. It's movement without friction. All the obstacles are taken away, and something is happening very, very quickly. This is the definition that Bernard Brady taught us, and I totally agree with her. And so these were the things that helped her to cross over. What she had the potential for, again, look at how trans-Pluto, dimension jump, and Uranus, freedom, are there. And also, of course, the angles and the IC. Those are the ones that are prominent. And if it's a death chart, you can actually look at the Novi semi-decile, which is life essence at the end of life stage, and whatever you carry over after death, what the substance, the learned things are carried over after physical death. And here, again, you have the sun mass, which is, you can carry over your strength and your will, and carbon breaking abilities, and transformation and change, and also getting to know your own karmic or chosen destiny issues. Now, the Aries ascendant, Novi Semidecile, is quite interesting, because Aries means drastically altered outward circumstances. And throughout her life, she really experienced quite a few of such. And I normally don't use asteroids in forecasting, but I did put the Ceres Sun Novi Samhita sign in, because Ceres is not just a nurturing principle, but also your home, your house, your family, and of course your nation. So those are the ones. She had a very long life. She had a difficult life, I think. She emanated classic barons, the true queen who is responsible for the people that she's reigning. And I can't understand really those who are bad-mouthing her at this moment. There will never be a queen like her, never. Those species are extinct. And with her passing, an era is also passing, unfortunately, which I'm very, very sad, because I am wholeheartedly a royalist. I can't stand democracy. I think democracy is there. It's just a smokescreen for the powers that be to do whatever they want us with us to do. Anyhow, thank you for listening. And I'm planning 2 more of this series. One is going to be about the transit of King Charles III, and the second one will be about his solar arcs and progressions as well. And I think it's going to be 2 separate videos. Thank you for listening. Have a wonderful Saturday. Bye-bye.